Hi, how's it going? Welcome back to my Hi, how are you? How have you been? Oh my god, are you doing okay? Is your grandma okay? I hope she's okay. Tell her I said hi. Also, let her know that Randy down the street, yeah, she'll know who I'm talking about. Literally dead. Dead. They found him like last week on his back, naked, asphyxiated. Asphyxiated. I don't know. You know that word. They didn't say anything, but I think we know what happened. Do you know what I mean? Tell your grandma I said that. We've been talking about it for ages. Today, we have the recommendation video. In my last video, I announced the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon. And if you want to go check out that video, in case you're like, what is that? Go check it out. From the 24th of September to the 30th of October. And then also on Patreon, we're going to be doing like a separate week from the 1st of October to the 7th of October. And it's only going to be on Patreon. There's going to be reading sprints and new prompts and like a whole thing. So if you're interested in joining us on the Patreon for the second week of Spooky Smart Bitch, go ahead and check it out. Would love to have you. It's a lot of fun over on Patreon. We have some horror recommendations. These are all books that I own. I've chosen mainly books that I've read. A few of them I haven't read, but most of them I have. For the Spooky Smart Bitch as well, there's 6 prompts. I have 5 different stacks of recommendations. I'm not going to do one of the prompts, which is to choose a horror book that you're afraid to read, just because that's so personal. Like that's so, why did I say that word? It's so personal, and like, I don't know you. You don't know me, and I want to save that for my actual like TBR video where I talk about what I actually want to read for the Readathon. Anywho, let's get started, okay? For the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon 2023. TM. First things first, I'm the realist. Second things first. Let's start with the biggest pile, which is BiPOC author. First of all, The Good House by Tanana Reeve. This is a haunted house novel about this woman. Excuse me. She is grieving the loss of her son. He was like 15 or something like that, and he like killed himself. It's horrible. So she is just like grieving. She's so hurt, blah, 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 blah. She's living in this place called The Good House, which is like an ancestral sort of heirloom. It gets passed down in her family, right? So she is living in the good house. Weird stuff starts happening. It's all spooky, ooky dooky. We're also going back in time to when her son was still alive and he hadn't like unalived himself yet. Bro. This specific copy, so beautiful. It just gives me like 90s vibes. Oh, it smells amazing. Anyway, it's so weird to do on camera. Anyway, I love this book so much. It's such a great haunted house story. Maybe like top 3 favorite haunted house books ever. This would be a great thing to read during the readathon. Not only that, but like when I read it, I think I read it in maybe like 2 sittings. Super compulsive, super good. And Tanana Reeve's writing, gorgeous, stunning, could die. Let's also talk about Victor LaValle. I have 2 of his books. One of them is a novella called The Ballad of Black Tom. This is a Lovecraftian retelling. And then this is The Devil in Silver, which is my personal favorite. I did also read Lone Women. Did not like it. Wasn't my cup of tea, which was like really disappointing because I love this man so much. But these 2, gorgeous. Especially this. This, I think, literally changed my brain chemistry. Like, I think it literally split my atoms. This is about this guy named Pepper. Pepper is kind of rough and tumble. He's kind of like a delinquent, but if like a delinquent could be like 40. Like that's the vibe that Pepper has. And Pepper gets like arrested by the police. But when he gets arrested, these officers are like, it's literally the end of our shift. Like we have to go home. It's like 6 a.m. We're like done for the day. These police officers, being really good at their job, take him to a mental institution, a place where people go when they're mentally ill. What do they call it? Grippy socks vacation, is that what they call it? I've just heard that on TikTok. I don't know. They drop him off and they're like, we'll be back in 2 days, you stupid fuck. 2 days go by, right? They're not coming back for him. They literally forgot that he was there. They forgot that he was there. And to make matters worse, Pepper, his first night there, he's in bed, you know, he's getting ready to sleep. Boom. Somebody comes out of his ceiling with a body of an old man and the head of a buffalo, and it's like a monster. So this thing is like haunting the hospital, and all of the patients can see it, including now Pepper. Dude, this is so good. And Victor LaValle's writing, first of all, evocative, gorgeous. Like literally the first page, hooked. I'm telling you, it's so good. The Ballad of Black Tom is a novella. It's less than 200 pages. Like I said, it's like Lovecraftian. It's like a retelling of something. I literally forget. I have not read any Lovecraft, mainly because I have no interest, but then also because I had this bad date once where a guy like put on a Lovecraft audiobook, and some of my patrons know he put on like a Lovecraft audiobook, and then because we were on my bed, he literally, I'm not even joking, laid down like this, like literally like this. Yeah, Lovecraft and me, we don't get along, but if it's Victor Laval, I'll eat it up. I also have these, which are also novellas, The Murders of Molly Southorn and The Survival of Molly Southorn. There are 3 books in this little series. I really loved the first one. Also, this cover is just a vibe. The first one is so good. Second one, not my favorite. This is about, obviously, Molly Southorn. Molly Southorn lives in like Alabama or like Louisiana or something like that. Molly has this weird like DNA condition thing. This weird thing. She bleeds and that blood creates clones of her. So like, let's say Molly is out and about, whatever. She falls, scrapes her knee. One little drop of blood, that little droplet, clone. The blood will literally transform into a full-grown version of Molly or whatever age she is, a complete replica. But the thing is about the clone is that they're like literally murderous. They're like trying to kill Molly because I think they want to like take her place, maybe. I don't know. She like accidentally cuts herself in the kitchen one day making pasta or something. Boom. She has somebody who looks like her trying to fucking murder her. Terrifying. The first one, really, really fun, action-packed, creepy. So I would recommend this. I don't know if I'd recommend the second one. I would play it by ear. If you like the first one, I would try out the second one because you never know. Let's also talk about this author who I have not read anything from. I probably should. I've had these books for literal years. That is Gabino Iglesias. This is Coyote Songs and then Saint Zero. These are both horror novels that I have not read. Literally, I have 3 of his books. I have these 2 and then I have The Devil Takes You Home. But I really like him as a person. I don't want to play favorites, but I'm playing favorites right now. I do want to read them eventually. It's just a matter of when. And especially this one. Zero Saints sounds fucked. It's about a dude who I think meets up with these like sketchy people. And when he meets up with them, he sees that his friend has been like beheaded and that his head was like fed to some kind of monster or something like that. Like, it sounds fucked. These I think would also be really, really great because I've heard amazing things about both of them. Dude, Coyote Songs, the cover, look how fucking pretty that is. Ugh. Oh, let's talk about Japanese horror for a second. I have, first of all, Now You're One of Us, which is a book I read last year during the Spooky Smart Bitch. Literally one of the best decisions of my life. This book was so fucking cool and so good. I think I read it in a day, maybe 2 days. This is about this girl. She joins this new family, right? She gets married to this guy, and this guy's like the perfect dude. Perfect man of her dreams. Man of her dreams. And his family also could not be better. His family is like nice and sweet and super accommodating, and they just want what's best for her. She can tell. And then one day she's like putting up laundry or something like in the backyard with her mother-in-law, and this guy shows up and he's like, "Hey, the fuck are you doing here?" And she's like, excuse me, I'm literally the daughter-in-law. I live here. Oh, no big deal. And he's like, "You need to get out of here." And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "You don't know." And she's like, "No, what? What do you mean?" And he's like, "Let me tell you." And then at that moment, the mother-in-law comes in. She's like, "Hey, Frank. What are you doing here? Frank?" And Frank, that's not his name, but Frank is like, Nothing at all. I needed to tell you that I can't pay rent this month. So I just wanted to say that, and I'm gonna go. Frank is literally visibly afraid. And so our main character is like, that's fucking suspicious. That's weird. And then the next day, Frank and his whole fucking family, gone. Their whole building burnt down to a crisp. Bodies unidentifiable. Just the bones, baby. It's so good. Dude, the more you read it, the more of like a mind fuck it is. I live the ending too. Now, I can proudly say that I now know what this cover means. For years I've had this, never knew what the fuck was going on with this bar of soap, but now I know. Now I know. And then the other Japanese horror, and that is Revenge by Yoko Ogawa. Look at this. This is just a short story collection about like spooky stuff. There's one that I remember about somebody who kept like their heart in like a coin purse. I just remember loving it. So 10 out of 10 would recommend that one. But I also have this one, which is a book. It's not something that I would recommend. But I'm sitting here right now. I'm telling you, if you are squeamish, even a little bit, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Like, I'm not here to fuck around and find out, okay? I'm telling you, if you don't want to read about really fucked up shit, don't read it. Also, there's one scene with like extreme animal cruelty. So if you're not into that, again, don't read it. Don't read it. But that is The Resurrectionist by Rath James White. This is an extreme horror novel about this guy. His name is like Ted. No idea what his name is. Let's just call him Ted. Ted can resurrect things. Since he was a child, has just been like killing things and then bringing them back to life just to kill them again. And he does that a lot. Ted is just living a regular, everyday, average kind of life, right? On like this little suburb street, whatever, it's fine. And then this couple move in across the street. Sarah and like Chad or something. Her boyfriend seems like a Chad. Sarah and Chad move across the street, right? And they're so happy. They're like, oh my God, it's the perfect house for us. Honey, it's perfect for us. We're just so happy to be here and living our new dream or whatever. And Ted, he sees Sarah. He's looking at her. She looks perfect to him. Perfect. So Ted breaks into their home in the dead of night, in our words, Sarah, and then murders her along with her husband. Excuse me, sir. Can you, I'm in the middle of a synopsis. And you're literally, it was like, I was about to get to the best part. And you literally ruined the flow. I'm doing my job. Can you please leave? Excuse me. Go. Thank you. God. He murders her and her husband and then resurrects them and then leaves. And he does this every single day. And the thing is too, like once he resurrects something or someone, excuse me, excuse me. We can't have nice things. The person doesn't remember because they died. And so when they're brought back, they're like, they don't remember dying. But Sarah starts to have some memories and Sarah starts to think maybe something weird is going on. Sarah's not a dumb bitch, which I kind of appreciated about this book. Again, this, not for the faint of heart, but overall pretty okay. It's like not great. The writing isn't my favorite, but if you're looking for like a, ooh, that's gross, kind of thing, to go to the other side of the spectrum, I think a really good place for people who are like new to horror is something like Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, because it's very like aesthetic, but also like really creepy. This is about this woman who basically gets like a call from her cousin. Hello, hi, this is your cousin. I need help, please, thanks. She's like, okay, I'll go. She goes, right, to her cousin's estate where her cousin lives with her husband, like the cousin's husband, right, and his family in the middle of Mexico, but it's like this English style mansion. So she goes because she thinks that things are like suspicious, and that's just breaking the surface, really. I don't think I've read anything else by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I own most of her books, but I don't think I've ever read anything other than this. I really should. Why have I not? This is a lot of fun. First of all, I have Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. This is a horror novel about the possession of like a teenage girl, but rather than it being like some kind of like evil deity thing or whatever, it's actually like this goddess who's like pretty badass. This book gives me like super gay vibes. I don't know if that's like intentional. Like, I don't know if she meant it to be kind of gay, but it feels gay in my heart, you know? Maybe it was gay. It's been a while since I read it. I think I actually also read this last year for the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon. I can't remember, but super, super good. Also V. Castro, just in general, a great author, a great place to go, especially also if you're new to horror. At least this, I think, is good if you're new to horror, because it was beautiful and gay. It was so gay. I have Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. I have like a mixed history with Stephen Graham Jones. I really enjoyed half of The Only Good Indians, and I really enjoyed half of the final girl. What was that book called? I partly enjoyed those books. This book I enjoyed all the way through. This is my favorite of his stuff. I also haven't read My Heart is a Chainsaw, so that's why it's not here, because I haven't read it, so I don't know if it's actually good. You look at it, right? You're like, oh, it's about mannequins and like being creepy with mannequins. And sure it is. I really, really enjoyed this. I don't want to tell you what it's about, because I think you should go into it blind with just the title, because it shocked me. It literally shocked me. So those are the BiPOC authors. There is some overlap with like my other recommendations as well. Things for like LGBTQ could fit into the BiPOC. Things from like the autumnal could fit into the LGBTQ. Things are kind of overlapping. Next up, we have LGBTQ plus horror. We have to start with the queen herself, and that is Michael McDowell. I have 2 of his books here. Michael McDowell, unfortunately, has passed away, but he is an icon. He is the moment. He is literally my dream. I love him so much. Michael McDowell wrote specifically like Southern Gothic type of horror back in like the 80s and the 90s, or maybe it was like the 70s and the 80s. But his books, stunning. And if you disagree, first of all, I've never met anyone who disagreed. But if you disagree, you're literally fucking stupid. My personal favorite is The Amulet, which is basically about this piece of jewelry that literally makes people feral, like murderous. People wear this necklace and then like kill their children. We also have The Elementals, which is more like Southern Gothic, but Michael McDowell. I would recommend checking out his books if you haven't already. They're also a really good place to start. I started with these for the most part, kind of. Actually, maybe this would be more like intermediate. Also, Cold Moon Over Babylon is another stunning book. You need to check out Michael McDowell if you haven't already. You need to. It's the law. I haven't read this author before, which is kind of embarrassing because everyone and their mom loves this dude. But I own these specific editions, and when I saw them, I was like, that guy's gay. Work. I added him to the list, and that is Clive Barker's Books of Blood. Like I said, I have not read these, but look at these covers. I got these from the used bookstore. It was like during COVID. You do this thing at my local bookstore where like if you put in an order, kind of like a mystery box type of thing, they would like, you know, surprise you with books or whatever. And so I told them like, I want horror, like really gross horror, just make it horror, but like not Stephen King horror. This is what they gave me. Look how weird, grotesque, especially this fucking guy. These are short story collections. People love these books though. I think they also made a TV series about them. And then we have the icon, literally the light of my life personally, Hailey Piper, The Worm and His Kings, and then The Possession of Natalie Glasgow. I read this last year for the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon. Hailey is iconic, stunning, a gorgeous writer, and her books, there's another one from her that I really, really, really want to read, and I've been talking about wanting to read it, and that is The Queen and Her Teeth, or The Queen of Teeth, the Queen of Teeth, which is about vagina dentata, and like a girl realizing that there's like a monster living inside of her vagina. And if there is ever anything that sounded more beautiful than that, I literally don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Tiffany. A vagina monster. Hailey Piper is doing God's work. Jesus is up here somewhere in the clouds, whatever. And Hailey is just writing about vagina monsters. And he's like, yes, bitch. Yes. He's giving her snaps as he should. Anyway, I'm gonna stop like literally drooling over her. She's an amazing author. She does amazing horror. It's all so weird and so fucking cool. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Another little queer moment is Exquisite Corpse by Poppy Z. Bright. This is one of the, how do I even describe this? This book is akin to having your heart ripped out. They take it out of your chest. They look at it, you know? And maybe it's still beating. I don't know. It could be. They physically retch onto it. Blech. They spit on it, puh, They throw it on the ground. Maybe they like step on it a little bit and it's still beating, you know. And then they pick it back up and then they gently put it back in your chest, close you up, and then you're expected to just continue living your life as if you haven't experienced extreme trauma. That's what this book is. If you want to feel horrible about everything, you should read this book. It's scary. It's horrifying. For me, sad. It was so fucking sad. And it was also like a really beautiful exploration of like the AIDS crisis from like the 90s. Oh, this would also meet the cannibal. There's literally always like dogs like barking just all the time. And it's like, you would think I live like near like an SPCA, or like my apartment building is like an SPCA because it's just constantly dogs. But it's like always at the most inopportune times. Like the moment I'm not filming, silence, quiet, you know, peace. And then the moment I turn the camera on, switch on my little fucking light, it's like the whole world becomes like awake and all the dogs decide like, this is our moment to shine. Like, it's fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. This would also meet the cannibal prompt. Finally, lastly, I have Thomas Old Hulfelt. I'm pretty sure Tom is gay because I think he posted about his husband. I think he got married. If he's not gay, this is super weird and awkward. Hex, which, oh, this cover. And then, of course, Echo, which is his newest. I heard not great things about Echo. I have read Hex, have not read this. I remember reading it, and it scared me like a lot. I was creeped out. This is basically about a town that's haunted by this witch. What's funny is like it's not funny, it's creepy, but for me, it's kind of funny. Like people will be like having dinner, you know, it'll be like Tommy and Sally and mom and dad, and everyone's, you know, cutting up their pork chops, eating, having a good time, and then boom, this old raggedy bitch with like her eyes are sewn shut, her mouth is sewn shut. She'll just pop out of nowhere and she'll just stand in the corner of the room for hours. And she does that every day, all day. She'll just terrorize people. She doesn't actually do anything. She's just there. And what's funny too is like, I think in one of the first scenes that happens where she just shows up out of nowhere at this family's house and they just put like a washcloth over her face. Also, a great place to start. Great place to start if you're new to horror. Don't know anything about this. All I know is like it's about a guy who goes like on a mountain. His friend dies. He wakes up like a month later in the hospital, but he's like possessed. I don't know. But let me know if you have read Echo and what you thought of it. Now let's talk about the Cannibals. I have 4 books, which surprises me because I thought I definitely had more. I don't. But I really need to up my cannibal game. First things first, I have Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. This is an iconic novel. This is basically about a cannibal that like lives close to this place called Camp Slaughter. It's like very mystic. People go there and they're like, oh my God, it's Camp Slaughter. Oh. It's like college students being like, let's fuck around, oh, you know? And there's this dude who enjoys eating people and like taking their skin and making cute little bags, making like little lamps. It's very Ed Gein, is that who I'm thinking of? It's giving that, but like if he was very large Mexican man. What I really love about Camp Slaughter is how creative the kill scenes are. The characters will die in like the most ridiculous ways, and it's so fun. I also have Tender as the Flesh, which I'm sure you saw coming. At this I feel like is like people's intro into cannibal horror. I feel like everyone and their mom has read this, even people who aren't into horror. If you don't like it, I get it. Like, it's understandable, but also I love this book so much. So basically this is about this guy who works in like a meat processing plant. And the thing about the meat processing plant is that like, it's not necessarily like cows or chickens or whatever. It's like humans can no longer eat the animals. The animals have some kind of like disease or whatever. And so rather than just like becoming vegetarian, we're all like, no, let's start genetically cloning humans and stuff and like eat them. Weird and gross, but okay. So that's what happens. They literally kill people and eat them. It's like a thing that everyone does. Everyone's just eating human meat. It's like a thing. We're following a dude who works in one of these plants. When I tell you that the ending of this book made my heart and my lungs fall through my asshole down into hell, I'm not joking. The ending of this book wrecked me. So yeah, there's this. So fun. And then I also have Succulent Prey by Rath James White. I have not read this. It's about this guy. He like gets kidnapped by this like murderer guy. Thankfully he gets away. 15 years later, he starts to realize that this murderer has like contaminated him, and that now he is starting to have urges to do harm onto others. And from what I've read, it also contains cannibalism. I think he like gets the urge to kill people. So it's not great. I think also he gets the urge to literally like kill his girlfriend. I'm pretty sure it's his girlfriend who he's like, gotta murder that bitch. There's that. Finally, the last cannibal book that I have is Offseason, of course, by Jack Ketchum. There's also the sequel, which is Offspring, which I have not read, but I do own somewhere. But Offseason is my personal favorite cannibal book. It just does things that I, as a reader, never would have expected, never would have knew I wanted. This is about this group of friends. They're out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere in this cabin or whatever, as you are. Middle of the night, everyone's sleeping. Everything's fine. The windows break in one room. A group of people grab one of the people who's staying in this little cabin, drag her out the window, tie her to a tree, and slit her open from belly to chin, and then proceed to cook her and eat her. Meanwhile, all of the people in the cabin looking out the window, watching all of this unfold, watching their friend be mutilated, heated up like a fucking hot pocket, and then eaten from the window, just watching. The fuck are they gonna do? Again, it's such a fun book. And like honestly, by the end of it, you're kind of desensitized. I was, at least. At the beginning, I was like, oh my god, this is too much. I can't take it. And then towards the end, it was like her arms were cut off, her legs were cut off, her eyeballs were scooped out, her hair was cut into a bob, her mouth was sewn shut. And I was like, this is like fucking Monday morning, bitch. What the fuck? I don't care. It's a classic. It's a classic. Jack Ketchum. A beautiful person. Let's do the neurodivergent prompt, because I don't have many books for this. I do apologize because I created the prompt and then I could not find anything. Turns out there's not a lot on the internet about neurodivergent main characters in horror novels. But if you have recommendations, please let me know in the comments. Put it in the comments for me, for other people to check out, because we need all the help we can get. And this is a community. Gross. Okay, I have 4 books. The first one is one that is a definite representation of neurodivergence, Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. This would also work for the LGBTQ prompt, because Chuck Tingle is gay. At least I think he is. Pretty sure he's gay. The main character of this book has autism. It's like canon. It's like confirmed. I read this like a month ago. This is about a girl who is like a believer in Jesus. She believes in Jesus. She believes in God. She's like praying and stuff all the time, and she like believes. And she also knows that there's this like place called Camp Damascus where like people go to be like exorcised of their filthy, queer, gay thoughts. And she's like, praise Jesus, yay. But things aren't as easy as that. Things aren't as simple as that, because she's also the kind of person who like thinks about things. She has like a very strong grasp on her religious side, but then also a very strong grasp on science and logical thinking. It's like spooky. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give anything away. I really enjoyed this, and it does have neurodivergent representation with the main character, who's an absolute bad bitch. The other books I have are just ones that I kind of felt like they were like neurodivergent in some way. First of all, I have A Headful of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. One of the main characters in this book, I'm pretty sure, is severely depressed, if not maybe living with BPD. She reminds me a lot of my sister who has BPD, and so that's why I chose it. Because while reading it even, I always think about my sister. Listen, this specific area, not precise at all. This is literally just a feeling I have. I don't think it's ever been confirmed by Paul what she has, if she is mentally ill, which I do think she is, because that's kind of like the crux of the novel, is like this comparison or this juxtaposition of mental illness with demonic possession. Either way, definitely her brain chemistry, a little bit off. She's definitely not like a normie. I also saw somebody on the internet talking about this. I went on the internet And I was like, horror books, neurodivergent. Came up with like almost nothing. But somebody did mention that they felt as though the main character from this book had maybe like OCD or something like that. And that is We've Always Lived in the Castle by Shirley Jackson. I've been talking for so long. I feel like my voice is about to go. When I read that comment, I was like, that's literally so true. The main character, Kat, she definitely has like some kind of OCD, some kind of like compulsion disorder. She might also be on the spectrum, it seems. There's something there. So this could be really good. If you don't know, this is about a family who they all get murdered. They all like drink poisoned food. Or did I say drink? They all eat poisoned food. And there's only, I think, like 3 or 4 people who survive. And they're all kind of ostracized from the community. Everybody in town is like, those fucking weirdos. They like killed their whole family, blah, 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 blah. It's a weird book, but it's so good. And this specific cover is so beautiful. This one, I just feel like it has neurodivergent vibes. Listen, I'm so sorry. You came here to get recommendations and I'm fucking around. But that is I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid. This is a horror novel about this woman who is going on a road trip with her boyfriend. But the only thing is, she's thinking about ending things. The main character of this is definitely mentally ill. If you've read it, you know, I'm thinking like extreme, severe depression. That's why I'm saying neurodivergent. The last prompt is the autumnal vibes. Before we get started, let me once again caveat these things, okay? Because I chose these books not because they're actually set in autumn, but because I feel as though they have like an autumnal vibe. They either have like an autumnal vibe or they'd be really good to read during autumn. A few of them are actually autumnal. Most of them are not. First of all, I know that this isn't a horror novel, but I wanted to include it because it's literally the definition of autumn. And that is Pumpkinheads by Faith Erin Hicks, and I think written by Rainbow Rowell. Every basic bitch on YouTube has read this and owned this and talks about this during autumn. Like literally every single one of the basic bitches. And I'm included in that. Like, hello, it's me. Because this is so fucking cute. If you have not checked this out, 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then the other book that I have that is actually horror is Halloween Season by Lucy A. Snyder. This cover, I love this cover so much. Oh, it makes me so happy. This is actually also a short story collection. I forgot to mention that. Apparently these are also very spooky and very scary. I have not read this. I don't know if it's good. I've just heard that it's good, and I've heard that it's actually like really spooky, and to not let the cute cover fool you. Apparently it's really fucked up, which we love to see. This cover, I cannot get enough of it. Are you joking? They really did something when they made this cover. Oh, I do have one more Halloween book, and that is the sequel to Camp Slaughter, and it's Halloween Slaughter. It's kind of the same as Camp Slaughter, it's just set around Halloween. And like I said, Sergio does something so beautiful with his kill scenes, and they, like in Camp Slaughter, they're great. In this, they're perfection. They're so good. Now the books that I feel like have autumnal vibes, but maybe they don't. But I think they do. And first of all, I have Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. I don't think this is set during the autumn, but Jesus Christ, does it feel like the kind of book that could be set at autumn, or the kind of book that you would read in one sitting below, like, you know, trees as they're shedding their leaves. This is about a grieving mother. Her son has recently died and she can't get over it. I think it's been like a year, and she is still unable to move on with her life. One day while she's at her son's grave, she kind of like kicks up a little bit of dirt and she accidentally bleeds into the dirt. And then this apparition starts to approach her and she starts to offer things to the dirt. I'm not gonna say anything, but it's a book and it has autumnal vibes. And then this also, I don't think it's set during the autumn, but it has an autumnal vibe, and that is The Watchers by A.M. Shine. I love this book so much. This is about this woman. She is like out in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, right? And she's like driving, you know? She's driving and her car suddenly breaks down. And so she gets out and she starts to walk into the woods, which is like a thing that people do, you know? Normal. I would rather fucking die than walk into woods alone. Anyway, she walks into the woods and she starts to hear screaming. And then she comes across these people who are trapped. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say. It's wild. And I would say the less you know, the better. Because this book is crazy. It's crazy. Also, honestly, it took me one day to read. Did not take me long at all to read this. And it was so worth it. It was so good. And the last book that again has autumnal vibes is, in my opinion, Mary by Nat Cassidy. Listen, you really thought I was gonna do like a whole ass video about recommending horror and I wasn't gonna mention Mary by Nat Cassidy? You're fucked. Like, you're wrong. Of course I'm gonna mention this book in some capacity. I have to. This, I think, is actually set in the summertime. But for me, I think about reading this in October. I think about reading this in autumn. And it feels comforting. It feels right. This is about Mary. Duh, as I'm sure you know. If you haven't read this, you're crazy. But this is about Mary. Mary is like 50, right? And Mary is like changing. Her body is changing. And her mind. Because Mary will like look in the mirror and she'll like see her reflection, right? For like a second. And then immediately it'll change. And like her face will begin to sag. Her skin will begin to rot. It will slowly sort of strip away. Her muscle and her viscous, is that what they call it? Will sort of like slowly turn and rot as well, leaving only her bones. She will literally become a corpse in the mirror. And if she watches too long, she literally like blacks out. She like passes out. She faints. And so Mary sees all this stuff and she goes to the doctor and she's like, hey doc, I'm starting to see shit. And he's like, it's because you're old, you stupid fuck. You stupid bitch, you're old. Get out of here. We hate you. So then Mary goes to work. She works in a bookstore. And she's like, hey guys, how's it going? And they're like, Mary, you're old. We hate you. You're gross. Also, you're fired because we need to hire younger people because nobody wants to buy books from an old fuck like you. And so then Mary is like, well, fuck me, my guy. I'm like literally I'm out of luck. Like, what the fuck am I going to do? And then her aunt Nadine gets on the phone and she's like, I need your help. Come visit. So then she goes to her old hometown to visit her aunt Nadine. More fuckery happens. I don't want to say too much. This is maybe one of the wildest horror novels. And it honestly might be like my top 3 favorite horror novels of all time. Like, I love this book so fucking much. Nat Cassidy literally like sucker punched me, you, everyone. I literally felt like I was being punched in the throat while I was reading this because it's so beautiful. Not only just like, first of all, the writing. The writing is gorgeous, but like the plot, the character development, everything about it, I'm obsessed with it. My friends, my family, my familia. It's been an hour and 8 minutes that I've been filming and I literally feel my throat giving out. Like, I feel like my throat, I feel like I've been talking for too long. I'm gonna go. I thank you so much for being here, for watching this whole thing. If you did, I really appreciate you and your time. It like means a lot or whatever. So thanks, I guess. I hope you have a wonderful day. Let me know down below what your TBR is gonna look like for the Spooky Smart Bitch Readathon. If you have other recommendations for the prompts, please let me know, especially the neurodivergent one, because I really fucked up with that one. I hope you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to hit subscribe because we talk about spooky shit, talk about creepy shit, talk about Succulent Prey and Michael McDowell and shit. Thanks. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye. I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye. Au revoir. Goodbye.